gaming.
Modern game releases have slowly started demanding more and more from players. A battle pass here, a cosmetic bundle there, more exclusive and paywalled ultimate editions with content that should come with the standard game. And recently, with the upcoming launch of GTA 6 alone, there are quite a lot of concerning things that point to this game causing more problems than we've ever seen before. With the normalization of even higher base prices for cut down games, getting more comfortable with digital only distributions, and the continuation of just how far game companies can stretch what people are willing to pay for just the game itself. And yet everything about the latest GTA title seems to check every single one of these boxes. And when considering the potential success of this game could really mark a dark turning point for all games going forward. Now of course, all of this didn't start with GTA. And considering one of the most influential games in recent times, we can all point to something we all know very well. Fortnite's release in late 2017 introduced something that completely changed how modern games make money at scale. A free-to-play game with a constant stream of cosmetics, battle passes, and even offering their own subscription service for cosmetics that players actively bought into. None of which was entirely new on its own, but what Fortnite's success had proven was something at a scale nobody could ignore. It proved that players wouldn't just tolerate recurring monetization, rather they'd spend billions towards it. More and more games began shifting towards the same structure, being free to play, having seasonal content and cosmetic shops, and the business model of live service games as a design became the default. And when you consider the massive influence that Fortnite had alone for games from every other company that followed, it's really only safe to assume that the launch of GTA 6 will be at the very least as influential, if not even more so, because seeing just how far they are willing to nickel and dime everything about this upcoming release with just the price for the game itself is absurd. Like the once memed $100 price point of the base game becoming actual reality just clearly shows anyone with two working brain cells that this was always about making the absolute most amount of money from just game sales alone. Now again, this isn't the first time we've seen the base game's flat fee increase to $80. But you can surely bet your left kidney that this game's success will most certainly incentivize every other game publisher to move the needle even higher for their games going forward. I mean, this is something we've already come to realize in recent times, with the majority of AAA releases having already pushed their base price of games higher to $70 not even a full 6 years ago. It took all of 15 years to increase the cost of AAA games from just $60 to $70, and still there's yet another dogshit fee added to justify the increase in the baseline price of games in such a shorter frame of time. And putting things simply, the fact that GTA's $80 cut down version of the game is literally there just to sell you on the extra $100 quote unquote ultimate edition that is lacking anything that could be considered ultimate is just laughable. Comments saying, oh, it's just an extra $20 or it's just stupid little things in a single player game seem to be missing the point, because the main issue with them pricing the game like this is simply the fact that they can get people to rationalize and be comfortable with paying a $100 fee for the standard version of the game, and selling the $80 cut down version is to absorb most of that criticism and backlash of doing so, which clearly seems to be working for them, as there is a lot of people online that are openly defending this kind of behavior. But in doing so, it sets a precedent going forward that we are pretty much okay with getting cut down $80 versions of games and alright with paying $100 for standard editions of them. But again, it's Rockstar. They have always done this with their games, right? Let's look at what you got when you paid for the price for the Ultimate Edition of Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. You got the actual discs to play the game without needing an internet connection, the steelbook case for the games themselves, a physical map of the in-game world, a bunch of extra useless cosmetics and a few stupid missions to complete, and bonus content for online. But for GTA 6, you're getting what? 5 in-game stores that are only available to people paying that extra money that is supposed to be worth the $100? Beyond the scummy fact that this is straight up paywalling in-game content in a single player game, it's important to realize that this is nothing more than a bait and switch to get people that have been hyped about the game for over a decade at this point comfortable with paying $100 for what is more similar to a basic standard edition of a video game, and not to mention the fact that the game doesn't even come with any online bonus content or any mention of online at all closer to the release of the game in the big 2026. Because sure, Rockstar doesn't do online at launch for their games, but why does Red Dead Redemption 2 have DLCs for online content in their Ultimate Edition for a game that also shipped without online on day one? Disregarding the dumpster fire that Red Dead Redemption 2 online mode was, it's clear that the next GTA is just a standard game priced at $100, and we could really only speculate that online might be an even bigger issue for GTA 6 considering just how predatory shark cards were for GTA 5's online mode. But another thing I found interesting is that even after all of these years, Rockstar would still rather push this idea of doing a console-only launch, as if the vast majority of gamers aren't on a PC now, with roughly 930 million compared to around 653 million users worldwide on console. Of course, there's always an argument behind this decision that usually ends up being to prevent piracy and modding of the game, but honestly that argument doesn't make any sense. For one, being able to mod a game that you paid for is objectively a good thing. We wouldn't have games like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, or the countless of other games and communities that grew out of people simply modifying the games they already owned and bought. And second, the overwhelming majority of PC players would rather just buy the game on Steam than go through the hassle of pirating it in the first place. Really, what does make the most sense is that Rockstar knows plenty of people are going to buy the game twice and are counting on these people to make more than a single purchase. Once initially on console and then again on PC for when they can actually experience the game at higher frame rates, better graphics, mods, and all of the advantages that come with modern PC hardware. Not even mentioning the fact that this game is very likely going to be locked at 30 frames per second for a next-gen experience in 2026. Because while the PS5 Pro is the most capable console available right now, it's still built around a CPU architecture that is now over 6 years old, which is certainly going to be the biggest bottleneck for a game of this scale. Put simply, Rockstar is likely going to have to make significant compromises just to maintain a stable 30 FPS target on consoles alone, which again only really makes the eventual PC release even more appealing to the people that end up buying the game twice, something they do all too well. The delayed PC release is really just yet another example of a much bigger problem. Over the last few years, we've slowly been paying more money while actually owning less of what we buy. From the start of 2026 alone, we've already seen things like being able to rent consoles, PlayStation removing hundreds of purchased movies from users' libraries and not offering refunds, hardware prices continuing to climb, more companies pushing subscriptions and cloud services more than ever before, and GTA 6's release would really only add more fuel to that fire. Because let's say that the biggest entertainment launch in the history of gaming proves that people are willing to spend more money for the base game, buy it multiple times, and continue spending money well after the release of the game itself. Every other for-profit gaming company is going to be paying attention and taking notes, because it's clear that the industry wants reoccurring revenue instead of one-time purchases. And we're already seeing that kind of mindset with things like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, Ubisoft Plus, EA Play, and even GTA Plus itself. So it really wouldn't surprise me if somewhere down the line buying a game outright became less common than having to pay a monthly fee to access a game that you can't just buy and have it in your game library. And renting individual games doesn't seem nearly as far behind as people probably think. Okay, so funny enough, while I was literally editing this video, Sony announced yet another move away from physical media. And honestly, this is just yet another illustration of the direction this industry has been heading for quite some time. Also, this tweet from the Domino's UK account is pretty funny, I think. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that even the Domino's UK account for Twitter is tweeting about it, which just goes to show you just how crazy and outlandish that this move is. But yeah, that pretty much sums up everything I have to say about the latest GTA 6 release thus far. I am curious to see if this game can even manage to live up to all of the hype and expectations surrounding it, as honestly, it truly feels like this time around there is just anti-consumer practices written all over this game's release. Like, I don't even plan to get this game day one, since even if I had a console to play it on, I just feel like there is too many negatives to count, not a single frame of gameplay, and having been burned by 90% of the AAA releases for the last 6 years alone, stuff like this always reminds me of games like Cyberpunk 2077 that I did pre-order, which was a game that was also similar in terms of hype and scale, and yet we all know just how disastrous that game was at launch. Now, I'm not saying that people can't just spend their money where they want to, because it's entirely up to them, but it just seems that we've all forgotten just how greedy and manipulative the industry has gotten at this point. But anyway, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.